Hello everyone and welcome back to Age of Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to Age of Sigmar, and in this video it's going to be my third part on how to play Age of Sigmar. So this is actually a series that I'm resuming. Essentially I did a part 1 and a part 2, which is how to play Age of Sigmar on the tabletop. As you guys have seen, I've done some how to play Age of Sigmar videos lately, and that's all part of a series, and this one is the last part of a bit within the series, essentially, that shows me demonstrating how to play Age of Sigmar, and this, like I said, is the final part. So in this video we may be talking about a few things that you might not fully understand when it comes to how we actually play on the tabletop, and if you don't really understand that, you feel like I've glossed over a rule that you don't really are aware of, remember there is a part 2 and a part 1, so I strongly recommend you going back to watching those ones. Or if you have any other questions about something that happened in this video or a game that you've been playing with Age of Sigmar and you just want a bit of advice on how does it work, please leave any questions you've got in the comments. And also, as a thing to say in this video, this is completely for people who are brand new to Age of Sigmar and have already been watching my How to Play Age of Sigmar series. If you already know how to play Age of Sigmar and you're competent with it, don't watch this video. Go watch another video of mine if you would like to. This video is not going to be for you. Okay, so with that out of the way, I would also like to say that this is all being recorded on my phone, so if the audio isn't as good as normally and all that sort of thing, just please bear with me. If I try and upload it to the computer to do a voiceover, it really makes all the video go blurry and everything else for some weird reason, so I have to do it on the phone. So it's like the good old days of Age of Nagash. Anyway, so with that aside, what we're going to talk about is, in this game, we're going to have an actual proper match compared to what we saw in the last part 1 and part 2, and that's because we're going to have two 1,000 point armies go at each other, and that's going to be Legions of Nagash, Grand Host of Nagash, and it's going to be Slaves of Darkness with the Slaanesh mark in the spoilers. So firstly, we're going to just show a few pictures of models we've got in each army, and I'm going to talk through what is going to be in each army. So firstly, starting with Death. So we have actually got the main man himself, Manfred von Carstein, the Mortarch of Night, is actually going to be in this army. So he is pretty cool. I don't really get him out much, so I thought, what a better way to show what he can do and what he is like, other than a, tutorial. I think that'd be pretty cool. And he's been sitting in a cabinet for a long time, so he deserves some action. So we've got him. We've also got another hero in the army, which is going to be a Khan Wraith, and this Khan Wraith is actually going to be the general. And you might be going, what, Manfred's not the general? That's because if Manfred was the general, he would be a named character. I mean, he would not be able to take a command trait. So the command trait the Khan Wraith has got, and the Khan Wraith is a fantastic model for 60 points last time I checked, I remember he was. So his command trait is going to be Awe of Ages, which means at the start of the combat phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of this general. On a 4+, subtract 1 from hit rolls made for that unit until the end of the combat phase. Okay, so that's what it does, and don't worry, we'll go into it when we actually use it on the table. We'll just bear with me and remember that for now. And then he's also got an artifact, and the artifact is going to be one of my favourites, the Khan Wraith in the Grand Host of Nagash, and that's going to be the Baleful Lantern, because this is subtract 1 from wound rolls for enemy units within 6 inches of this of the bearer. In addition, re-roll successful casting rolls for enemy wizards within 6 inches of the bearer. So essentially, the whole re-roll and successful casting, that's just kind of a bonus for using against those enemy wizards, but it's a subtract 1 from wound rolls. So this little Khan Wraith, who's really not worth the time and effort to get rid of, can make the enemy -1 to hit and -1 to wound in combat, which it just makes them as a pain in the arse. The enemy doesn't want to have to focus too much on killing him, but they're going to have to if they want to remove those debuffs. So that's what he's going to bring to the table. And something I would just like to say, in case you haven't noticed already, I can't for the life of me find my actual Khan Wraith model. So yes, this is just a Grimghast Reaper with a big bell, but the model, to be honest, looks cooler than the old Khan Wraith anyway. And it's actually bigger, so it feels more like a hero. So that's what we've got there. And then we're going to have a unit of 2 Morgasts. So these are really cool guys. They've got the big twin glaze, very heavy damage dealing unit that you'll see demonstrated later in this video. And then we're going to have a unit of 10 Black Knights. Yep, that's right, a big unit of 10 of them, because Black Knights tend to have let me down in the past, but let's see if they can redeem themselves in this video, shall we? And then to finish off, my 2 battle line are actually going to be 2 units of 5 direwolves, as I think they are the best battle line in the game for just being a cheap screen. Really, really like them, really fast. And that is it for the death. So then going on to the Slaves to Darkness, we are going to have our general, which is going to be the Demon Prince. So this is a Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince. And like I said, here's the spoilers. So that means that he benefits the most from being Demon Prince. And he is going to have the command trait Bolstered by Hate. So he adds 2 to his wound characteristic. And then we are going to have the artifact as well. We'll put that on him. And we'll give him the Doombringer Blade. So what this means is at the start of the first battle round, after the setup is complete but before the first turn begins, you can pick one enemy hero or enemy monster on the battlefield. If you do so, friendly despoiler units can reroll hit rolls and wound rolls for attacks made that target that unit. So what that means is essentially I'll pick Manfred and I get to reroll those things against Manfred himself. So it could be quite useful in this game. We'll wait and see. And then the next thing we have in the army is actually going to be a Slaves to Darkness Chaos Sorcerer Lord on Manticore, which is very cool. I've also, as you'll see in this video, there's a bunch of conversions for the Slaves to Darkness. And really, I've done a lot of these conversions like during lockdown and stuff, and I put loads of effort in. I should be able to use them on the table. So I am generally quite excited about using some of my like freshly new models on the table, and that Manticore is one of them. And the next thing to say is that we're also going to have for our last hero a Chaos Sorcerer Lord on foot. And again, this is another conversion from like a Witch Elf and a Demonette and stuff, but it works as my conversion for my Chaos Sorcerer Lord on foot. And particularly good in the list because of things like reroll save rolls ability, and it's got a very good spell in her War Scroll as well, which we'll get to later. And then we're going to finish off the Slaves of Darkness by talking about the 3 other units they have, and they're all going to be battle line. So the first one's going to be a Chaos Chariot, which again is another conversion. It's got a Slanesh Fiend on it. And the other unit we're going to have is going to be a unit of 5 Chaos Knights, but again are Centaurs for this. And then we're going to have a unit of 5 Chaos Warriors. So those are the 3 battle line units we have for the Slaves to Darkness. And then that really does patch it up for the armies as a whole. Something I did forget to mention though is that the Grand Host of Nagash army does actually have the Quicksilver Swords and the spell in their army as well, in case they need to use it, because it is particularly good against Chaos. And that brings both of the armies to 1,000 points, so no one gets a triumph, which is easy, because it means something that you won't forget. And bear in mind, I'm playing both of these armies. It just makes my life easier to try not to forget it. And that's pretty much it. So this battle is going to be fought over a 4x4 board, essentially. That's what we've got set up here. We've got a bunch of scenery that I painted on the board. You may see some faction terrain, but don't worry, I won't have any special rules or anything else. We're going to have 2 objectives in the middle of the table. Essentially, you control the objective if you have more models than the enemy within 6 inches of the objective, which is going to be the big ring. And then as a bonus, we've got in this video, a little bit like shifting objectives from the General's Handbook, is that if you've actually got a battle line unit within range of the objective, you'll get an additional point, so an additional victory point, if you control that objective as well, when you have that battle line unit within 6 inches of the objective. So that's just like a nice little thing. It gives the Slaves to Darkness a little bit of an edge because they've got 3 battle line units, but we'll see how it actually plans out. So I really think that's everything I can say before we get the battles started. I'm recording this bit quite a while after I've recorded this tutorial, if you would like, so hopefully I haven't forgotten anything, and if I have, please bear with me guys. I'm trying to get this out to you as soon as possible. Something else I'd like to note as well is I can't do my usual like intro or my shout outs to my patrons as normal because this hasn't been done on the computer, but just all my patrons and my YouTube members, thank you so much for your continued support. It really goes a long way. It really helps me be able to make these videos, especially when there's things like this where it might not see it by the time you watch this video and get to the end of it, but this video did take a long time to record, especially when you're trying to play 2 armies by yourself. But with all that aside, guys, like I said, you got any more questions while you're watching this video, put them in the comments down below. I really hope you enjoy it. Sorry this video is taking so long to do. Literally, I think part 2 came out about a year ago, and this is part 3. But this is honestly the quickest I could get it out. So I hope you guys enjoy it and have a great rest of your day. So here we are on the battlefield. As you can see, we've got the Slaanesh Slaves of Darkness army over here, and then the Grand Host Legion of the Nagash army over here, led by Manfred von Carsten, the Mortarch of Night himself. So just to say a few things about the battlefield before we get started, territory is simply going to be just split down the middle here. So we've got the Death territory here, and we've got the Slaves of Darkness territory here. We've got 2 objectives. Now this is just something I came up myself. Very simple. I probably explained this in the pre-video a bit more. We got is each objective, you control it if you've got more models within 6 inches of it, so that is going to be the big ring. The additional thing you get for this one though, or I came up with, is that you get an extra point if you've got a battle line unit holding the objective or just near the objective as well. So as long as you've got a battle line unit within 6 inches of it, you're going to get an additional point, which will be interesting as the Slaanesh does actually have 3 battle line units. And then just to say as well, we have got some grave sites on the board from the Legions of the Nagash, of course. So grave sites, you can go check them out when I've explained them in another video, but essentially they're going to allow me to help heal my Sunball units, which is basically going to be my Black Knights and Direwolves. Basically what they're there for. And you usually get 4 to have in your armies in a game, but as we're playing on just a basically 2/3 of a battlefield, I decided just to take 3, not 4. Just, you don't have to, but I just thought it makes more sense because otherwise the table's quite small for how many grave sites you get. So we've got that, and then just going on to some terrain really. So as you can see, we've got some faction terrain on the board. Is that using faction terrain rules? Absolutely not. They are just there because they are pretty, and I painted them up during lockdown, and I'm very eager to make the most use of them as I can. Right, okay, so we've got the Inspiring here. So this is going to be for this Bone Tithe Nexus, and that one over there. And if you're wondering what Inspiring does, again, with all these scenery rules, I have explained them in other videos, but just to give you a bit of a recap, because like I say, this video is for if you are very new to the game. So Inspiring is going to give you +1 bravery if you're within 1 inch of it. We then move on to Deadly over here, so that's going to be for both of these pillars, and that is going to be if you finish a charge move or a normal move within 1 inch of it, you're going to take D3 mortal wounds for each unit if it rolls a 1. And then we've got a Sinister Spooky Forest over here, very much makes sense. So that is going to be -1 bravery if you're within 1 inch of it. And then we've got this pillar here and this larger structure over here are going to be arcane. So that's +1 to cast. And then we've got Mystical over here, which means if you're within 1 inch of it, your model actually gets a 6-up death save, ward save, after save, damage prevention save, whatever you want to call it. And then we're going to have a damned over here, which means in my hero phase, if I've got a unit within 1 inch of it, I can take D3 mortal wounds, and if I do so, I can reroll hit rolls of 1 until my next hero phase. So I probably won't really be seeing much use of that, but you know, we never know, and we'll just see what it does. Okay, so that is the board. Like I say, territory is quite simply just split between this side is Death, this side is Slaanesh, and it finishes in the middle, just in case that comes up. And the other thing to mention is that Death did finish setting up first, so it is going to be able to choose who wants to go first. It is going to choose to go first, but before we get into that, I just want to say that the Death army is actually going to get a triumph as we are 40 points down. So what triumph is the Death army going to get? It's going to get a D3, so that's going to be a 1, and that is going to be reroll hit rolls once per battle. So that's cool. And then just to say that the artifact that we got for the Slaanesh army that belongs to the Demon Prince, which is the Doombringer Blade, we are going to put that onto Manfred. So just to remind you, that means I get to pick 1 hero or monster in the enemy army, and I get to reroll hit rolls and wound rolls against it. So that could be very useful against Manfred. Right, okay, so Death is going to choose to go first, and we're going to go straight to their hero phase. Right, so the Grand Host Nagash, their hero phase. First thing we usually do for Legion of Nagash is do a lot of healing in the hero phase, but we're not going to be doing that because there is no damage taken so far. So what we're actually going to do is go straight to magic using Manfred von Carsten himself, and we're going to cast a Mystic Shield. He can normally cast 2 spells, however, because there's no other units within range, because they're generally quite offensive spells, we are just going to be able to cast Mystic Shield. So we're going to roll these 2 dice, like we do when we cast spells, and see what we get. We're going to need a 6. So we just fail that one, so we don't get it. which is okay. And then there is nothing really else to do in the hero phase apart from use a command ability what Manfred has got. And essentially what that command ability would let me do is units currently within 15 range of him, wholly within, but it would get smaller, it's on his damage table, get to reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound. But we are actually going to save that for now. So we're going to cap our command point. So as you can see right now, I've used a little token there to count the command points. I've also got one here, which is going to count the battle round. And then I've got one here to count the command points for the Slaanesh. So with that, that is going to lead us on to our movement phase. Right, so what we did is we did the movement off camera just because you guys know how movement works. Now, if you don't, go see my part 1 of how to play and I will describe it to you in great detail with the demonstration there. But with here, we can see that we have moved everything forward. The idea behind this is that we've put basically our, if you like, our trap, our bait unit, being these dire wolves, on these objectives, because what that means is that technically I'm now scoring this objective. Because this is a battle plan where you get an extra point for having a battle line on the objective as well, I'm going to score 4 points there. And if the enemy wants to do anything about it, they're going to have to get rid of these dire wolves or put more number of their models onto these objectives. Now I'm not going to be able to do that because I do quite outnumber them pretty nicely in this army. So what the Slaanesh army is going to have to do is deal with these dire wolves. Now, when they come and deal with these dire wolves, I am then, this is how it all's going to try and plan out, is charge in these Black Knights to deal with whatever they use to kill the dire wolves, and then the same over here, but use the Morgasts instead of the Black Knights, the Morgast Harbingers, to kill whatever is trying to kill those dire wolves over there. So the idea of what you call this is basically a trade-off. So if that Demon Prince wants to come and kill these guys, sure. But there's a good chance he's going to get countercharged by all this, and there's Manfred there as well. So, but he can't just sit back and not do anything. A thing what the Demon Prince is going to try and do is it's going to try and move to about there in its turn, charge over because it can fly. So it's going to charge over to here, then try and pile into these Black Knights. And what that would mean is the Black Knights are bogged down in combat. They can't retreat and charge. They haven't got anything like that. And when they're in combat and they haven't charged, their attacks are a lot worse. So it's a good time to try and tag them in combat. So what we're going to try and do for the Slaanesh is they're going to go here, charge over, and we're also going to have these knights charge into these dire wolves. Because it is Slaanesh, the Slaves of Darkness, what that does mean is you can re-roll your run rolls and your charge rolls if you're wholly within 18 inches of the general, because it's spoilers, of course, like we've mentioned in the pre-video part. And what that means is that it's going to help me get those charges off, isn't it? Because I'm not going to have to spend command points to try and get those rerolls. And the other thing as well as being Slaanesh, I get to, every time I get a 6 to hit, and I'm wholly within 12 inches of one of my Slaanesh heroes, that is actually going to turn that 6 to hit into an extra wound roll as well. So I can be quite offensive as well and get to where I need to be. So that's going to be the plan for Slaanesh, but we'll get to that just in a moment. Just to say, to end the death turn, because there's no charges or anything, these guys ran the dire wolves and they're doing exactly what I want to do in the trade-off section, which is a really fascinating part of the game. And what we're going to do is going to end the turn there for Death 1, Turn 1. And that means that I am going to clock 4 points this turn for the Grand Host Nagash. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get another counter just to count that up, because you do really want to keep track of these. You don't want to, particularly if you're new as well and trying to get into the game of things and learn things, you don't want to try and have that conversation with your opponent going, oh, how many victory points was on last turn? Because it's just a bit awkward, because then you will remember that maybe you were one ahead and then you've put doubt in your opponent's mind. You don't want them to think you're cheating or anything. So always make sure you count them. But anyway, enough of that. So going on to Slaves of Darkness, Slaanesh marked, Turn 1. Right, so for Slaanesh, Slaves of Darkness, actually a fair few things to do in the hero phase, because we've got some magic, of course, but we are also going to get some reroll, save rolls abilities from these sorcerers. So we've got, like we said, the one on foot there and then the manticle. So what we're going to do is we are going to do those first. So we're going to put reroll, save rolls onto the Cursed Knights. You may be wondering, oh, why am I not putting onto the Demon Prince if we're going to be charging him more into the fray? It's just for mortal Slaves of Darkness units, so he wouldn't be able to get it because he's demonic. And he's a demon, I believe the keyword is, to be more precise. But then going on to these Chaos Warriors here, because certainly they do want to try and tough it out on that objective. So what we're going to do is we're now going to go on to magic, because simply those rerolls, we don't have to roll to do it, we just do it. I'll just suggest put a token next to them saying reroll save rolls, just so you remember. Right, so then going on to magic, we are going to start with the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on foot first, and he's going to try and cast Demonic Power. So, see if she can get it off. She does not get it off. Magic is not being very strong in this game so far, which is not good for a tutorial game. But anyway, so the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on Manticore is then going to try and cast. Are we in range for Winds of Chaos? Let us see, because that would be quite good. So I'm just going to check that. I should have checked this before I started the camera, but oh well, it doesn't matter because I forgot. So going on, let's see if we're within 80 inches of... Oh, we're just going to be out of 18 inches. Basically, I want to try and do the Sorcerer Lord's spell onto those direwolves, because it would be quite tasty, but we are just out. So what we are going to do is we're just going to do a Mystic Shield. So again, we'll try and cast that. God, these casting rolls are absolutely awful. Just like me playing in real life. But at least I'm playing against myself, so it's fine, okay? So either way, I'll win this game. But okay, right, going on to... oh god, that threw me off a little bit. We're going on to movement. So what we're going to do is we're going to go away and then we'll come back when the movement's done, like we did with the death. Right, so now that we've done the movement for Slaanesh, I'll talk through what we've done. So over here, we've done essentially what I just mentioned before, which is we've made the Demon Prince come here, so just outside of 3 inches away from these direwolves, so not in combat with them, because that would be an illegal move. And the reason why I've got these little tokens here is that's exactly 3 inches, the thing that says Malign Portents, and also one over here that we'll get to in a moment. Just really handy little things. You don't have to buy them, not sponsored by anyone who sells them, but they just save you having to measure everything with a tape measure. Right, so like we said, we'll move those two up here, so hopefully we'll charge those knights into these direwolves, and we'll charge that Demon Prince into this Calm Wraith over here. Okay, and then going with this little Sorceress Lord who's came up. The reason why she's done that is just to help be able to do her spell going into the next turn. If I get the next turn onto these Chaos Knights, hopefully we'll get some magic off. So we moved her up so she can still be relevant in the game. And then we've got this Chaos Sorcerer Lord on a Manticore that's came up here, essentially so she can try and do the spell onto these Black Knights if I get the next turn for the Slaanesh. That's the plan there, and again to still be relevant and to be a threat for Manfred, so Manfred can't just ignore her. And then coming over to here, we've got 5 Chaos Knights, Chaos Warriors onto the objective there, and then we have got the Chaos Chariot over here, 3 inches, like I mentioned before, away from these direwolves. So the reason behind this means I've now got 6 models on that objective. I own that objective. I've got actually 2 battle line units on that objective as well. Doesn't mean that I'll get 2 extra points in how I've made this scenario, this battle plan, but it does mean that I have more models than the Death Army here, as those 2 Morgasts are not on the objective. And then we're going to try and charge that chariot in there. And like I said, we're going to try and do these charges here. So there is no shooting for this army. Surprisingly, Chaos does not have a lot of shooting if you go outside of Skaven and some few units in some armies. So with this Slaanesh army, we're actually going to go straight into charging. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to roll my charge dice, see who actually makes these charges. Normally, you're meant to roll the dice, see who you can charge, then make your charge move before you move on to see if anything else can charge. But as I explained to you what my plan is, we are just going to do that. And just to make things easier, I'm going to roll the dice before I move any models. So it just means that I don't have to keep on awkwardly trying to do things one hand. Just to quickly also mention, these Chaos Warriors actually ran onto that objective as well, so they cannot charge, just in case you wonder. Right, okay, so going on over here, so this Demon Prince can re-roll this charge, obviously, being marked as Slaanesh. So he gets a 5. Ooh, that's not going to be enough, so we are going to risk it, and we are going to re-roll this one. So we get a 10. Okay, we'll measure that in a second. So the Chaos Knights then get a 10, that's pretty good, they don't need to roll that. And then the Chariot over there gets a 3, which is enough. And to be fair, we can't actually re-roll that one, so we'll take that, that's alright. So yeah, so all the units I wanted to make the charge did. So we're just going to see if we can get that Demon Prince over, which we should do, and then we'll be right back to it. Right, and there are actually all the moves done for the charges. So you can see I've moved over. I've done exactly what I planned to, and luckily it went off, so it's good for demonstration. So what we've done is we've got the Demon Prince just here. You may go, oh, why is he not actually next to these guys? And essentially what it is he's just going to try and take out him. He's within 3 inches of these Black Knights, so they're bogged down in combat. And then we've got these 5 Chaos Knights, like we said, into those dials there. They're outside of 1 inch of here, so they're not going to have to roll for deadly, which is all good. And then we made that charge with the chariot there. Only got a 3-inch charge, so I couldn't charge far, but we only want to tag the end of the unit as well, just to try and make it hard for them to pile in. Now, interestingly, going into combat, we have got an ability for this Demon Prince, and that is Immortal Champion, which means that he will always fight at the start of the combat phase. It's a way to basically be able to hit the enemy before they can hit you, which is really, really useful, and really will save you a lot of the times. Obviously, sometimes you come across it against other enemy armies, and let's say that is turn 3, let's say for Einef Deepkin, you're going against them, and if it is your turn 3 on Battle Round 3, what that means is that your Immortal Champion ability on your Demon Prince will be able to activate first before the Deepkin, because it is your turn, so you're like at the start of phases abilities, take precedent. Again, if it was the Deepkin turn 3, then they would be able to attack you first. So that's kind of how it works. If you've got any more questions about that, obviously put that down in the comments below. But and if you think, oh, that's actually just not even the fighting first thing, just generally how I explain things there is a little bit, don't understand, check out my earlier videos, as I do go more into depth of just generally how the game works. So that means that this Demon Prince will be fighting first, but then it is still my turn, after he attacks first, to pick one of my units to fight, so I can do a double attack, which is really, really useful, and it's absolutely great, especially in the spoilers, like I said, that we're playing for this Slanesh. If you want to take spam loads of Demon Princes in your army and really make the most of this ability, you can do. I'm actually going to be recording part of my list building video for the Slaves of Darkness today, which is going to involve those sort of tactics that may be out before this video. So if my Slaves of Darkness list building video is out by now, go check that out for more details on how to make the most of that. But anyway, back to the game. So like we say, we're going to fight with the Demon Prince first, then we're going to go with these Chaos Knights, and then it will be death to attack us back. So I'm just going to get the dice ready, and then we'll do the attacks. Right, now actually do some exciting fighting. Right, this is something that's obviously the best part of the game, getting things stuck in. So what I will say quickly is that you may be wondering, so the Khan Race Aura of Ages command trait, why is that not going off? And like I said, that's because it's at the start of the combat phase, and as the Slanesh, Slaves of Darkness, Demon Prince ability, or just the Demon Prince ability, Immortal Champions, is at the start of the combat phase, because it is the Slaves of Darkness turn that is taking precedent over the Death Aura of Ages ability. Now what I will say though is remember what we just talked about, so if it was the Legions of Nagash turn, they would use their Aura of Ages ability before the Demon Prince fought. So that's basically how that works, just explained in practice. Just to say though, that the Khan Wraith has got the Balefire Lantern though, so my Demon Prince is going to be -1 to wound, but the Demon Prince is +1 to hit because it charged. So that may seem like a lot of information on one go, just honestly, and as I said guys before this video started, is that make sure you go and check out the War Scrolls. They're all for free on the app, so go check them out if you want to know exactly what abilities I'm talking about, just because in this video, as we're taking things at a faster pace, we're not going to break down every single bit on every single War Scroll, right? So we're not going to review them personally on the camera. But anyway, going on to the fighting. So like I said, the Demon Prince will attack. It's going to go with its Hellforged sword first. So these are going to be hitting on 3s because it charged. So, oh, that was pretty unlucky. Right, okay. I was thinking, should I spend a command point for our attack, which allow the Demon Prince to reroll once a hit? But I thought, probably won't roll any ones. Okay, there we go. Just so you guys get an insight what my luck is like. And then needing a 40 wound here. Oh, no. Then going on to the Malefic Talons. So we've got 3 attacks here, hitting on 3s because we charged. Ah, oh, awful. Absolutely awful. That reroll 1 and command ability is so good. Hindsight, so fantastic, right? Wounded on a 4. Oh, I was just boosting on about and boasting, talking about how good that Demon Prince is. All right, there we go. Demon Prince is usually a lot better than that, but you get to see what my luck is like, guys. And also just to quickly say that you will see that these tutorials are uncut and they're not sort of a case of I just picked the best results. So there we go. And now what I was going to show you basically in a moment, a tactic to go, may seem like the Death basically took a hit there, but this is how they're going to come back with the Black Knight, something sneaky they're going to do. Well, they're going to be able to do it without any downfall really. So there we go. And then going into fighting with the Chaos Knights though. So because like I said, the Immortal Champions at the start of the combat phase, the Chaos Knights will then attack next. So we've got 11 attacks here, all going into those Calm Race. If you're wondering why it's 11, so this is for the Lancers, 2 attacks each. The champion there, the centre in the middle, with that crest there, makes an extra attack. So we're hitting on, what you call it, 4s here. So 6s though, actually generating extra hits, like I mentioned, as part of Slaanesh, and they're in range of a hero with a mark. So that is actually going to turn out to be, sorry, let's just count this. So that's going to be 4 extra hits. That was a 6, 4 extra hits. So that will easily just count for that, and then those 3 the only ones. So cool, that's awesome. Right, then going into wounding. So wounding on 3s. That was pretty damn good. And it's -2 rend, which actually means those direwolves have a 5-up save. So -2 rend. Do they get a save? No, they do not. They will just get a death save because the Calm Wraith is still alive. So the death saves they're going to get is basically going to be, I roll a 6-up for each wound they take, which you can see on the Allegiance abilities for a Grand Host of Nagash, or just Allegiance of Nagash in general. You can check out my Allegiance ability videos if you're wondering how Allegiance abilities work. But anyway, so we'll just roll 12 dice for me there. So let's see if we can negate these 12 wounds. So on average, should negate 2, which won't make a difference. Yeah, negate 2. Funny enough, but that's still going to be 10 damage. So that actually still kills these 5 direwolves. So the Knights at least did what they came to do. Right, so I'm going to remove those models and then we're going to go with Death fighting back. So now with Death fighting back after those direwolves were defeated, we're going to go with these ones to take some vengeance. They piled into this chariot, and a couple things I just want to mention is we kept making sure that this one would still be on the objective, so they don't need to be wholly within range of the objective. They just need to tag it, basically, each model to count for it. We've also made sure that we're not within 3 inches of these Chaos Warriors, so they can't pile in, because even though they ran, they can still pile in, so we didn't want to drag them into the fighting. So we're going to have 3 of them attacking this Chaos Chariot, and the Doom Wolf, the one in the middle, the one with the chain coming off it, is the champion, so it makes an extra attack. So these are just going to be 7 attacks, because it's 2 attacks each, plus 1 for the champion, and then they're going to be hitting on 4s and wounding on 4s. So let's see what we're going to get. So rolling the dice, not too shabby, to be honest. We've got the good average there, so we will take that. And then wounding on 4s. Not too bad. A couple of 6s, you know, so not a bad average there. And then going to saving for that chariot, it has actually got a 4-up save. Let's see what we're going to get with these 2 dice. It saves both of them, but the dog still, I mean, morally took revenge, I suppose you can say. Right, so with that, we're going to hit back with Slaanesh. Right, we're actually going to hit back straight away with this Chaos Chariot. So it's going to be 2 attacks with the Whip, 4s and 4s, 2 attacks with the Great Blade, 3s and 3s, and then 4 attacks with the horses, which you might be going, what horses? That's all the Fienders, guys. Sorry, it's just conversion. So 4 attacks with the horses, which are going to be 4s and 4s. We're going with the Whip first. What we're going to do, we're going to make all these attacks, and then we're going to do the save rolls after. So you shouldn't allocate any wounds or make any save rolls until all the attacks from a certain unit has finished attacking the other unit. Okay, so like we say, go with the Whip. 4s, nice. Wound on 4s, oh, lovely. That Whip is going for it today. Right, so then going on to the Great Blade, like I said, it's 3s and 3s. Nice, just in case you're wondering, the 6 is not generating an extra hit because I'm out of range for my heroes to get that Slaanesh mark ability. So then wounding on 3s though, which we get 1. So we're going to be making 2 save rolls at no range for those dogs in the Whip, and then 1 at -1 from the Great Blade. So what I'm just going to do is get a number to go 1 from the Great Blade over here, and then we're going to have 2 from the horses over here, just so I can keep track, guys, just to make it easier. And you may be going, well, why don't I just roll them, you know, separately while I'm going through it? It's just because after you know actually how much damage you're going to take in total, it may change where you take your casualties from. So it is a useful habit to get into. But anyway, going with the horses. So then we've got the horses hitting on 4s. Not too bad. wound on 4s, the average. So saving on 5 for those dogs failed. So they are going to take, so they failed the horse one. So I did roll that because it was the last attack for them to have to try and save against. Then going with the one at -1, failed as well. So that's 3 damage so far. And then going with the 2 whips. So they managed to pass those. So they've taken 3 damage though. And I'm just going to check to make sure we're within range of Manfred over here to see if we get the deathless save. And we are... Let's just take a closer look. I'm just going to measure that a bit closely, guys, and be right back. And it turns out we're out of range for deathless. So even when you've been playing the game for a while, like myself, it's always useful to double check your measurements to make sure that you always make the most of your abilities. So because we've taken those 3 damage, all we're going to do is take 1 from this guy, and then we're going to put 1, and we're just going to use a dice for now. You can use wound tokens that I have in a box, so I might get that out in a moment, but we're just going to put that there to remind us that that has taken 1 wound. Right, okay, so then for the next thing to attack, it's going to actually be the Calm Wraith from the Black Knights down here. So we decided to go with the Calm Wraith. The reason behind that is because we piled him in 3 inches so we could clear as much space here for those Black Knights to pile into the Demon Prince. The other thing we try to do when we piled in is to just tag this unit in, similar to what the Demon Prince did, to tag them in to stop them charging in a following turn. But we wanted to do that with the Calm Wraith, because if we can bog down these Chaos Knights, they really are not fantastic with the Lancers in combat at all, so it would have been worth it. But we haven't managed to do that, but what we will do is we'll bonk that Demon Prince in the head with the Scythe. Again, like I've mentioned before, the on the table video started, that has actually looking like it's got a bell, but it's just because I couldn't find my Calm Wraith for the life of me, just in case you missed out at the start why I said that, so I've just used a Grimcast Reaper. Right, but anyway, going on to his attacks. So, with his big bell, he's going to hit on freeze. So, oh, he doesn't hit at all. And actually thinking about it, it might have been 4s he's hitting on, but it doesn't matter because the Demon Prince and the Calm Wraith cannot destroy each other, as it turns out. So that's interesting. Right, okay, that's honestly can't believe is that how bad some of that combat rolls have been, but it's fine. It's only to try and show you guys how combat works, so it's okay. Right, okay, and then we're going to go with the Chaos Knights. So we're just going to pile them in, and then we'll be right back. So now that the Black Knights are piled in, we've actually got 4 in range to attack with their horses and to attack with their lancers as well. This is including the champion. So we're going to be making 9 attacks here. If it's normally 2 attacks each, the champion makes an extra attack, which is nice and easy to remember, similar to the Chaos Knights. So we're going to be hitting on freeze. So this again is a cocked dice. So we've had one of these before, so we're just going to re-roll that just to see what it is. So it's a fail. Okay, so hitting on freeze and not too shabby, to be honest with you, with compared to how the Calm Wraith and the bloody Demon Prince have been hitting each other. So then we're wounded on 4s though on this one. Oh, not too bad. 3 6s. 6s don't do anything special, but still 3 6s. So we got 3 saves to make with the Lancers. Then going with the horses, which is going to be 2 attacks each. So we just need 2 more dice. So I'll get out of this pot. So what we're going to be doing is these are going to be hitting on 4s, wounding on 5s. I mean, like, if that was the wound roll, I'd be really happy with that. But anyway, so then going on to wound. So we got 1 wound. That 6 wasn't a hit, that was something else. So that's a save. So that's the first save for the Demon Prince. It is fine. This Demon Prince has got a 3-up save, so it's pretty goddamn dandy, to be honest with you. But for these ones, oh, it did fail one, but because it is the spoilers, it is going to get a 5-up save, which is pretty good. It's something what the Demon Princes get because basically they're very, very special in the spoilers. Just not good at attacking. But we get a 5-up, which saves on a 6. So that is going to be the combat for turn 1. So some things hit harder than others. Again, disappointingly, Demon Prince, I really wanted to shine a little bit, but there we go. So then we go on to Battle Shock. Right, so the direballs over there, which are the only things that would need to take Battle Shock, they're fine because their bravery is 10 and they only lost 1 model. So they're okay. And then going on to any other Battle Shock is not going to be relevant for this. So we're actually going to go into seeing who has got objectives. So this one down here, we were going to have it with the Sinesh. However, the Black Knights did the sneaky thing I was talking about, which was to let them pile in an attack. So what we've done here is by piling these Black Knights, we've managed to put them on the objective to claim it. And well, not really claim it, but just keep it as they had it before. So they've definitely got this one, so Slaanesh isn't going to score. And they're not going to score either, being deaf, because they were only scoring their own turn. And over here, though, Slaanesh has taken that one. So, and it has got a battle line unit there, so it is going to get 2 points for claiming that. So 2 victory points to Slaanesh so far. Right, but the main thing for Slaanesh is essentially being on the back foot, but they have got the charge into these guys if they get this turn. So let's see what's going to happen. As Death went first in this priority roll, they will actually get any draws. So this is going to be for Death. So they got a 6, which actually, funny enough, that means that the most that Slaanesh could get is, even if that was a 6, it would draw, which then I just explained, Death would win. So Death has won this priority. So we're going to go straight to the hero phase to talk about what we're going to do. Right, so going on to turn 2 for Death. So in their hero phase, we are going to be doing some magic. So first off, we're going to do Winds of Death with Manfred, which goes off on a 7, so that goes off on a 9. But we have got 2 enemy wizards here that are going to try and bind. So we're going to go the one on the Sorcerer Lord of Manticore, because it looks like it's having a stare off of Manfred. So, needs to be a 9, right, to be able to unbind it. We've gone through magic before. So, we're going to try. And gets a 5, so Winds of Death does go off. So how that works, I pick an enemy unit that is going to be within 18 inches of Manfred. So we're going to pick, we'll go for the Demon Prince, shall we? Yeah, let's try and do some mortal wounds to him. And then each enemy unit within 6 inches, so just going to be these Chaos Knights, are going to take a mortal wound. So obviously they do get a save against it, but we'll see what happens. So first off, for that Demon Prince, is going to take a D3. 1, but it does get a 5-up save against it. So it does take that wound, so we'll put a marker there to keep track. And then the Slaanesh, Chaos Knights, will take 1 mortal wound, but they do have a 5-up save against it, which they fail. So we'll put a marker there as well in a moment. Okay, then Manfred can cast another spell, and he is going to cast Veiling Vigor, which is his spell from the Law of Shaiish, so the Death Mage's Law, which is from the Legions of Nagash. So he is going to cast that, or try to. So that goes off on a 7, which he gets it, or it might have been a 6. Anyway, he has the spell, that's the main thing. So let's see if this little lady down here can unbind Manfred. So let us see. She fails. So Manfred is going to put that onto the... Let's put it onto the Demon Prince as well. Let's really try and nerf him. So that means that he is going to be -1 from his attack characteristics, from his sword and from his talons. And not that it's important, but when he charges, you can only roll 1 dice, but that won't be relevant for this. Okay, so the only other thing to do now in the hero phase for the Legions of Nagash is to see if we're going to do some healing. So we can do a special thing, Grand Host of Nagash, where I roll a dice for each symbol unit that's taking damage. And on a 5-up, it heals D3. So we're firstly going to do it for those dials over there. It's the only things that need it. So they do, and they heal 1. So basically that nicely works. So we heal this wound that has been done to this one over here. So I just come around and remove it. So this wound is now healed. And then we've got this gravesite that's in range. So that's going to heal D3. So that heals 2, which is lovely because that's going to be just enough to bring back this doggy here. So that's good, we like the doggies. So we're going to bring that back there. And then that unit is back at full strength. So you can see how some of this summoning stuff can be quite good. And then we could also bring back that 5-man unit of direwolves that we lost. But really, that's going to cost a command point, and it's not what we need the most right now. So we're going to save that, I reckon. But we are going to do Manfred von Cast Iron's command ability, which is called Vigor of Undeath, because we want to make the most of this phase really to really hurt the enemy. Okay, so with that, we're going to spend that command point to do that, and then we are going to be on to the movement phase, and we'll be back after that to see what we've done. And that is movement. So what we've actually done is we've moved Manfred here into the forest. You might be thinking, oh, you moved a couple of trees in there to fit him in. Is that all right? Is that all legal? Yeah, it's absolutely fine. You're allowed to move the trees in these things in most cases, and Manfred can fly as well, so it's not a problem. And then we've also moved these 2 Morgasts Harbingers up there so they can make and take that objective when they make the charge, because they roll 3d6 of the charge, so they should be fine. And then we're going to keep the Chaos Slaves of Darkness, Demon Prince here, bogged down as much as possible with these Black Knights. If the Black Knight's going to be stuck in combat, that's fine. And Manfred's going to clear or do as much damage as possible to these Chaos Slaves of Darkness Knights here, just to really try and make a play for the objectives this turn. You may be going, oh, why did Manfred not go straight to kill the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on Manticore? Surely that would have been quite a good thing to do, try and take out that big model. To be honest, with the objective play, it honestly doesn't matter. As long as I win by objectives, that's fine. Doesn't matter if your army is decimated by the end and the opponent has table juice, that means they've wiped out your army. If you've got more objective points than they have, some more victory points, or known as VPs, that's all that matters in Age of Sigmar, really. So, like, obviously, like, you know, competitive match play games and everything. And like I've already mentioned, this isn't going to be the most competitive game as you've seen. This is more about me showing you, like, examples of different types of gameplays within the game itself, and different, like, tactics and strategies you can do in this part 3. So with that, let us go into some charging. So we're going to charge in Manfred first. So he is 3 inches away, and he is going to charge. So let's see what he gets. He gets a 6, which is fine. So we're actually just going to move him now because there's not really too many models to move at this moment in time. So he's just going to go in like that. And then we are going to charge in these Morgasts. So 3d6. And I get to add all this together. So that's going to be a 10-inch charge, which is very nice. And we're going to just move over here like this. Now, apologies if you're watching this and you go, oh, there's quite a few shadows and stuff over crossing the battlefield. Essentially, what we were relying at the start of this is sunlight, a lot of it, and some artificial light. But now, as it's in winter time in the UK, the sun goes down very quickly, so we're losing that sunlight. So the apologies will be a bit of shadows, but you know, just bear with that. And with that, that is going to be all the charges. So then, onto the combat phase. Right, okay, so at the start of the combat phase, first thing we're going to do is the Aura of Ages ability, which is the command trait of the Calm Wraith that we mentioned before. So we're going to roll to see if that Demon Prince takes it on a 4-up. It does take it, so that Demon Prince is -1 to hit for this combat phase. And I'm just going to quickly check to see, actually, just to remind myself even, if it's going to be until my next hero phase. And no, it's just until the end of the combat phase as for. Just wanted to double check that. So that means that Demon Prince is now -1 to hit and wound. So that command trait came in useful. These Chaos Knights, they're not within 3 inches of the Calm Wraith because we measured last time, and they haven't moved since, so they will not be eligible to be targeted by that. So just to say, we are now going to attack with that Demon Prince, and he's going to put all of his attacks into that Calm Wraith. So let us have a look at this. So it's going to be normally 4 attacks Hellfire Sword, but now just 3 attacks because it had the Fade and Vigor spell put in it. And it is going to be hitting on 5s now. So all failed there. Really should have gone for the rerolls to hit, shouldn't I? I should have learned from last time. Reroll ones to hit would have been great. But then go Malefic Talents, and now only making 2 attacks. And these are, well, one of them hit, and then wounding. No, so that, let's move that out of the way. So that Demon Prince again does nothing, which really isn't a great showcase of how good they can be, but I suppose when they're -1 to hit and wound, it really does hurt them, but I don't think that's the main reason why it was so shite. Right, okay, and then that means that it's time for Death to attack, and we are going to attack with, let's go Manfred first, just because he's not as survivable as you think in combat. I know you might go, oh, well, there's only, like, one next to him. Yeah, they'll be able to pile in and wrap around. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with Manfred, and also secretly because I really want to go with him because I think he's really cool. And I haven't attacked him for a very long time. So let's see what his attacks are, and then we'll get to it. So Manfred isn't going to pile in because he's lovely, perfectly placed right where he needs to be. So he's actually going to be given his command ability to this whole army. So that'll be reroll 1s to hit for everyone practically in the Death Army, which means that he's going to stay where he is, and it's going to be benefiting him as well. So his first attack, which apologies if I get all these names wrong as obviously as always, but Geistvor, I think it is. So it's 4 attacks. He's actually going to get +1 to hit and wound on this because he successfully cast a spell because of the Mortark of Night ability he has on his War Scroll. So these are, believe it or not, 4 attacks against those knights. Obviously, everything's going to go against those knights. He's going to hit on 2s, rerolling 1s. Wound on 2s, rerolling 1s. Oh, look at that for a lovely roll. So that is just going to be 4 saves for these Chaos Knights at -1. So they've got the 5-up save, re-rolling, remember, because they had that ability from the Sorcerer Lord put on them still. So, I just rolled the same result twice. Oh well, it's done. That's pretty unusual, and I'm pretty sure that's how the layout was for them as well. Okay, this is like deja vu. I'm going to be watching this back on camera to make sure that actually happened. But anyway, okay, so they only failed one of these, but they are re-rolling. Okay, they failed. I was going to say, that was a perfect 6. So, bloody hell. Right, okay, so then they are going to take D3 damage for this attack, though. Ooh, so they're taking 3 damage so far. So again, I'm just going to get a dice, and I'm going to find the 3 and put it there, just so I know that's how much damage they've taken so far. And then we're going to move on to his, what's his other attacker called? Sickle Glaive, I think it is. So going 2 attacks, freeze and freeze. Again, obviously, all into those Chaos Knights. So freeze and freeze, re-rolling 1s. Wounded on freeze. So 2 saves at -1 for those Knights again. So they fail these ones, not rolling as hot. They can re-roll them though. So let's see. Still going to be failed. And that is going to be 2 damage each. So far, these guys have taken 7 damage. So I'll just do that to remind me. And then that is going to be onto the next attack, which is the Ashigaroth's Ebon Claw. So Ashigaroth is going to be the Dread Abyssal what it arrives. So that is going to be 6 attacks because it hasn't taken any damage yet. So that'll be 6 attacks, hitting on 4s, re-rolling 1s. So we've got a couple 1s there, so we will re-roll it. Okay, so that's not too bad. Then going on to wounding. So wounding on 3s, re-rolling 1s. Oh yeah, that wasn't too great. But it's 1 save at -2, which they managed to save. So then the last thing for them to do, as Manfred's got quite a few attacks, you haven't noticed. So it's going to be the Spirit Host. So these are hitting on 5s, re-rolling 1s. Nope. So we've got 1 hit, wound on 4s, re-roll that wound. Sometimes you just don't get it. So that's still going to be 7 damage onto these Chaos Knights. And you may be wondering before, oh, why did you roll the saves in between? You know, I thought you just said do all the save rolls at the end. Now, technically, like I mentioned, you were meant to do them all at the end. However, I haven't allocated any of the damage yet, so it's okay. It's only if I start going, oh, I took 3 damage on the first one, so which one should I take on? I'm not really too sure. Wait, and then you know, actually, it's not 3 damage you've taken, it's 7. So now it's giving you a clear idea of where you want the casualties to come from. For these Chaos Knights today, for the 7 damage they have taken, it is going to have to be this one, because he had a wound allocated to himself. So that's going to be 2, because I count up, so he had 2 wounds left to go, and then that means that we've got 5 wounds left, which means that another one's going to die, which we're going to pick a generic one, because you might as well keep the Hornblower alive and the Banner and the Champion, and then that's going to be 2 more wounds, and the Hornblower is the least useful one for now, and I would say that the Banner is the most important one, because we don't want to run away to Battle Shock. So those knights are gone, and they're not coming back. Right, so then that means that it's time for Slaanesh to attack. And we're going to attack these Chaos Warriors into these Morgast Harbingers before their inevitable end. So there's going to be 11 attacks, gets 2 each, and then +1 for the champion. So he's going to be hitting on freeze, wounded on freeze, but any 6 to hit will explode because they're in range of the Slaanesh aura ability from that manticle. So rolling these dice, looking for 3s, hopefully getting 6s. So that is not many 3s at all, but we have got a fair few 6s. So that's going to basically turn those 2 fails into hits. And then we are going to look for 3 to win. So that is going to be, yeah, pretty good. That was a bit, I was taking it away. So that is going to be 6 saves for these Morgasts. Now, these Morgasts are saving on 4, so they fail all of these, 1 will die. And that means that it's only going to be 2 damage to those Morgasts. So I'm not worried about that as a death player. That is absolutely fine. And then attacking back with a Morghast straight into the Chaos Warriors, because why not have a bit of bloody revenge, right? And the real reason is because I know that Chariot's there, but really those Chaos Warriors are the numbers that I'm concerned about, so I just want them done and dealt with. Even if that Chariot manages to pile in and somehow kills one of those Morghasts, I'm not really too bothered about that because I've wiped down their numbers. So we'll go with those Morghasts, like I said. Now, it's not only 3 attacks each with those glaives, but as I'm in Grand Host Nagash, they're actually making an extra one, so it's a cool little bonus they get in Grand Host. So it's going to be 4 attacks each. So these are going to be hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, obviously, because of Manfred's ability. So that is pretty damn good. Yep. Whoa, okay, these Chaos Warriors are for a very bad time, even with that reroll save they've got. Bloody hell, that's like... Bloody hell. Okay, that's all of them. That's pretty good. So no 2s to be seen there. And that's a -2 rend. So these warriors are in trouble. Right, so they've got a couple of 6s and they're saving 6s, but they need to reroll these and get some more. Okay, so that is not going to be enough because that's actually going to be 10 damage from... No, sorry, it's 3 damage each, so that's 15 damage. God, honestly, like 2 Morgasts, I was thinking... That's not many. Like, would I be able to do much of that? Yes, you can. I usually take them in units of 4, maybe 6. So you can imagine what that's like with 6 of them. It's absolutely a ball to play with, right? But it is a bit too big of one unit. But that has killed all those Chaos Warriors. So Def is looking to do very well this turn, and this turn has made a big difference. So then we're going to hit back with some Slaanesh stuff. And you know what? Actually, we'll go straight in with this chariot here. And we're going to... pile it in. So again, these models are going to be dead. I'll move them in a second just when it's off camera, so it doesn't really matter, but it's going to pile in, so it just needs to not be any further away than... I know I've just pushed the black but it's not going to be any further away than that direwolf, and it's just going to pile in like that so it can put its attacks into those Morgasts. Just as again, a lot of it's about revenge here, and we just want to kill one of those Morgasts to try and prove a point, because those dogs are just going to come back no matter what I do. So we're going to put all the attacks into these Morgasts. So the first thing is the whip. So again, hitting on 4s. Nope. And then we've got the Great Blade, so hitting on 3s. Both hit, not in range of a hero to get the extra. So 1 save for those Morgasts, -1. So that is going to be a fail. So they take 2 damage already. So I'll remember that. And then going on to the horse. So hitting on 4s. 1 and 4, so 1 save. So failed. So that is 3 damage done to these guys. But unfortunately, leaves this one on 1 wound, so did not manage to kill it, but they did try. So then, with that, that means we're going to go on to Def hitting back. And we've decided to go with the Calm Rave. So it's actually done something quite sneaky here. So it's going to pile in around that Doom Prince, not getting any further away of it, but be within 2 inches of that Chaos Knight there. So that means that I can hit it with my scythe, as we want to do as much damage to these Chaos Knights to try and make them potentially fail a Battleshock test, or even make them spend their command point best we can to try and annoy them. And what I will also say is the reason we're not attacking that Demon Prince is that Demon Prince seems to never be able to kill anything nor die. So that is why we're sort of just giving up a bit. We've traded the Knights for the Demon Prince. They're both worth about the same points. And that is fine. So going into those Chaos Knights with that Calm Rave. So again, rerolling 1 to this. So I am actually going to be hitting on 4s. So 2 hits, rerolling those 1s, very useful. There we go, that's what we needed. We just needed those rerolls. So then wounded on 3s. So that is going to be rerolling that 1 again for that Deathless Vigor. Like I said, I never really play a Manfred, and that Deathless Vigor really does help. It's really good. So -1 rend with this. So this is going to be saving on 5s. So save 1, re-roll him from that ability. Save them both, but I still stand by what I did there because I think it could have been the best thing to do. So with that, we have then just going to go with the Chaos Knights is the only thing Slaanesh has got left to attack. So we will do the Chaos Knights. And how we're going to pile them in is we're going to... Manfred will heal 2 wounds at the end of this turn because he kills something with his Feast for a Soul ability. So we'll just go best we can into this Calm Rave. So we're just going to, yeah, we'll pile in just like this a little bit. Obviously on camera, so it's a little bit rough, but it's okay. Not being any further away from the closest model, which to be fair was that one. And then that, yeah, it's not getting any further away. And then this isn't getting any further away. But I think we're going to struggle. I think it's going to need to... So it's getting closer to the closest model, but it was that one. But it's going to need to go here. So it's going to still be able to attack... Oh, to be fair, I can still attack him with his attacks. Okay, that's fine then. So that's going to be all the attacks into that Calm Wraith, which again, like I said, these knights are in combat now, so not expecting a lot from them, but we'll see what they can do, right? So we've got 7 attacks all onto that Calm Wraith. So these are hitting on 4s. So only 2 there, so not great. Wounded on freeze, only 1. And that Khan Wraith does fail it though. So Deathless does take a wound so far. And then you've got the horses. So these are going to be, how many attacks we got? So we've got 3 there, haven't we? So that is going to be 6 attacks. Hit on 4s, so bloody hell, those 6s were good though, aren't they? So that's going to turn, we'll just do that, so that's fine. So, oh, these could do it, these could finish them off. Wounded on 4s, so that means that these could finish them off. If he fails all 3 of these, poor, that was close. Deathless. That is close. He's only got 1 wound left, that little Khan Wraith. Okay, so that was... They did something courageous there. I didn't think they were going to do that much damage, so I'm happy with at least that bit. So then after that, we are going to attack with the... let's do the Black Knight, shall we, as we're here. So we'll do the Black Knight. I'm just going to quickly put a token there so I know that the Khan Wraith has taken the 3 wounds. So just put that token there. Okay, then going with these Black Knights, so they're going to pile in. So to get the most in, we're just going to pile... Ooh, we'll start going into some of these Chaos Knights, shall we? Because like we said, that is really all we want to kill. So he's going to get closer into that Demon Prince there, but be able to attack those Chaos Knights. He is going to pile in 3 there. We'll get our little 3 stick here so we know just how far things can go. Okay, so he is just going to go there. And then looking over here, again, he has taken that 3 damage, but I'm just going to put it there so I can pile stuff in here so the dice aren't in the way, essentially. So he is going to move there, not be able to attack, but just essentially move up. This guy is going to be just out from where he was. It was a bit too far for him. And then this guy is going to be in, though. And then we're going to pile in the champion around here. And then we're going to put him in so we can get as much in as possible. So that's everyone in, bar a couple, so, bar 3 of them, so that's not too bad. And we're going to have 4 attack the Demon Prince, and then we're going to have 1, 2, and then 3 attack the Chaos Knights. And just so things don't get confused and stuff, just going to put that 2 there just to remind me. That's the one that's taking the damage. So going into the... Let's do the Demon Prince first. Okay, so we've got 4 going into the Demon Prince. So that is going to be 8 attacks, and then an extra one because the champion is there. So that will be 9 attacks in total. And then that's going to be hitting on freeze. Re-rolling 1s, of course. No need to re-roll those 1s, but only a couple too, so it's definitely good. And then wounding on 4s because they haven't charged. Re-rolling 1s there. Oh, that's good. So, oh yeah, that Demon Prince may take a bit more damage this turn. So no rendo, it's got a 3-up save with that 5-up after. Oh yeah, that was not good for it. And then the 5-up after saves 1 of them. So it does take 2 more damage, but we have got those horse attacks as well. We could do some damage, so just -1 from the last roll. So it's taken 2 damage so far from those horses. And then, oh, the dice drops to the floor, so I roll this one instead. Okay, so hitting on 4s, re-rolling 1s. So that is, it's alright, it's alright. Yeah, it could have been better, but we really want those 5s and 6s for this roll. I'll take those 2 6s. I'll take those down 2 6s. Save my freeze. Failed 1, 5-up. No, so it's taken 3 damage in total from that. So then we've got those 3 Black Knights into those Chaos Knights. So again, that's going to be 6 attacks for this, as it's 2 attacks each. And to be honest, I just want to say I'm surprised the amount of damage I'm going to do to that. Demon Prince, just because they're pretty goddamn survivable, and Black Knights aren't great in my books of how I've used them before, but they seem to be doing not too bad today. So, but anyway, onto those 3 Black Knights into those Chaos Knights. So the Lances, so hitting on freeze, re-rolling 1s. That would have been great if it was, but we'll take that. That's still really good. Wounded on 4s. Yeah, that's good. I'll take that. And then, so what I'll do is, what happens is when you go like that and you pick up a bunch of dice and one slips out of your hand, you don't tend to include that as a roll. Again, it's like a polite thing. Again, if it was a bad result, you would re-roll it anyway. So going with their save, so saving on 4s. So they fail 1, but they can re-roll this. They fail it, which is 1 damage so far, which is going to kill a knight, but we've got the horses to go. So again, it's going to be 6 attacks. So hit on 4s. rerolling ones, which is coming very useful right now. Yep, I'll take that. So we've got 4, and then, well, we want these 5s and 6s for this bit. This is what we want them for. Well, we got 1, so I won't complain. And then saving on 4s, saved. But that 1 damage was enough to clear this knight here, so that's going to make things not great for Slaves to Darkness. And then with that, I have just got these dire walls over here. So I'm going to pile in, and then we'll get back to it. So then going in with these dire walls, so we've got 4 in range, 1 of them's a champion, so 2 attacks each, with the extra one from the champion, so that's going to be 9 attacks. So I'm just completely out of play here, what I want to do, because I forgot about it when I did it, and you wouldn't let your opponent go back to this point in the game, unless it was a really friendly game, because it was a while ago, but essentially when that chariot charge, I was going to do some more wounds, which I forgot about, because as soon as you turn on the camera, guys, half the rules go out the window in terms of how you can remember things. So I'm just going to quickly do it now, just in case there's anyone there going, oh, the chariot didn't do more wounds when it charged. Well, let's see if it's going to do anything now. So they've got a 3 to charge, so I roll that many dice when it charges, and pick a unit within 1 inch of it, so the dire walls, and on 5s up, they take mortal wounds. So they take 1 mortal wound. So for anyone who was not interested, so for anyone who was, let's just say, a bit too interested in that 1 ability, I have done it for you now. And if you're thinking, well, if it took that 1 mortal wound, then that model would have died and it would have been hard to bring him back. Manfred would have brought it back anyway, so don't worry. But I just thought I didn't want to forget too much, so I'll just do it now in case anyone noticed. Right, but onwards with these attacks. So going on here, we have got 9 attacks. These are not going to get the benefit of Manfred though, because they're not wholly within range, so they're not rerolling 1s, which, to be honest, that's still not a bad to hit. That's pretty good. So 4s and 4s. Oh god, that is good. So that chariot is maybe in danger. So only takes 1, so that's pretty good and lucky for that chariot. So it takes 1 wound, so we're just going to again put a wound token next to it like this. So there we go. It takes that wound. And with that, that is actually going to be the end of combat. And then also onto Battle Shock, which you might be thinking, oh, those knights are buggered, aren't they? Those Chaos Knights, they took 3 casualties. Well, they're actually Bravery 7 right now, so that's pretty darn good. And also the other thing to say about them, I say they're Bravery 7, and then they get +1 for the banner, but they also get -1 for the Death banner. So just in case you're wondering, like, oh, how did that work out? That's what's happened, and they lost 3. So what that means is they need to essentially roll not particularly high, because if they roll anything above a 4, they will lose some. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to spend a command point just to make them not run away. As, I mean, I know that's cost me a command point, but for the Slaanesh, the Slaanesh Slaves to Darkness, it's definitely their turn next, so they will get a command point back. So that's what we're going to do. And with that, we're going to go to scoring objectives, which is going to be 2 over here, because I've got a battle line unit for Death, and then we own that one as well. So 2 over there, so that's going to put me up to an extra 4, which means that the final score is going to be 8-2 for this part of the game, the end of Death's turn 2. So then we're going to go into Slaanesh turn 2, and I'm not going to lie, they're going to need to do some really good stuff here to be able to try and pull something out of the bag. So let's see. Right, so Slaanesh turn 2, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, depending on if we're going to continue this game anymore, it's going to be dependent on if that Chaos Sorcerer or Manticore can get his Winds of Chaos spell. So not Winds of Death spell like Manfred, this is Winds of Chaos, so the complete opposite. And we're going to try and put them on Black Knights and try and wipe them out somehow. Otherwise, there's not really going to be too much more point playing on. So let's see if he can get it. So she needs to get this, and that's on a 7-up. And with that disappointing 4, guys, I am actually going to call it there. I know this literally went on to like 1.5 turns, but there's really no way for Slaanesh to come back here. And I keep on saying Slaanesh, it's because I use them as Slaanesh, like he knows Slaanesh as well, or Slaves to Darkness, but you know they are, it's Slaves to Darkness army, obviously. But all I wanted to say is that is just because there's not really too much playing. Like I said, because it's getting a bit darker now and stuff, the qualities and stuff's going off the light, so I don't want to keep on playing too much longer just for the sake of it, because really all the point of this was is to make from part 1 of how to play on the table, Age of Sigmar. It was essentially as easily and as simple as like one unit fighting another unit. And then part 2 was a unit and a hero fighting another unit and a hero. And then on this one, we've done actually a 1,000 point armies fighting each other, which when you're playing just yourself against yourself takes a while as well. So I didn't want to really labour that bit too much because, as you can see, this has actually even though it's only gone on for 1.5 turns, it's actually taken a while because of how dark it is outside. But all I hope that we've done in this video is really helped you a little bit with just learning how the game works on the table, because when I explain all these rules to you and everything else, when I review if it's armies or if it's units or anything, all the other videos I do, I find much easier to show you and just to explain how things work by demonstrating it. And that's sometimes like what I said at the start, the trade-off. Like I traded my dire wolves for the Chaos Knights in a way because, yeah, I know the Demon Prince hopped over, which was good, and that was part of the tactics what the Slaanesh had. But it meant that the Chaos Knights had just been bogged down in combat. So yeah, they overkilled those dire wolves, but that was about it. And then the same sort of thing we've got over here. So I really hope that you've learned a little bit from this. Again, guys, if you're sort of going, oh, I didn't really understand a lot of the stuff that happened in this video, check out my other earlier how to play videos as they explain things more slowly. But also, if you've got any more questions or anything like that, please let me know that down below. It would be great to hear. And I know I enjoyed it. This is the first time I've rolled actual dice for God knows how many months now, and that we've been in lockdowns, even if I was playing against myself. It was still good fun, but no, that is that. And what I would say is this is also going to end, for now, my how to play Age of Sigmar like on the table section when I actually like record on the battle and stuff, because when I set this up, it takes a bit of time and stuff to make space to put up these boards and everything, so I don't really want to do it too much if I don't have to. But what I will say, if there's anything in particular you want me to give a demonstration of or something, I'll be more than happy to do it. If you guys are going to ask in the comments and I know it will help you, I will do. But I wanted to get this video done because, like I said, this is part 3 and I did part 1 and part 2 a long time ago, not ages ago, but about half a year ago or something. So I wanted to finish this 3-part series like before it gets stupidly long and stupidly late. So that's why I wanted to put this out here. And I also wanted to kind of show off some of my cool conversions I've made, like the Manticore and the Chariot and stuff, and the Knights and things, and the Sorcerer. Basically anything that's Slaanesh, right? I wanted to show off because we're coming up to Slaanesh War at the time of recording, but Slaanesh has probably already came out by now by the time you guys are watching this. But anyway, without me just rambling on too much, guys, if you've got any more questions about like the how to play stuff, please ask me that down below. I'll be happy to help you guys. Don't hesitate to ask any questions, even if you think it's a stupid question. I'll be happy to help you with any of your concerns. And like I said, I really hope you learned something out of this series. And if you have, please let me know down below. It's always nice to hear that. And if you did enjoy the video, please smash that like button as well, as that really does help. And it shows me that you enjoy these beginner-friendly videos, as I always do videos for things that are more popular, because I know more people get enjoyment out of them. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you press that subscribe button, as that really does help as well. As obviously can't thank you guys enough for that. And then the other thing I would like to say is, if you have already subscribed, make sure you press that bell notifications. That really helps out the channel as well. And then I would also like to do a massive shout out to my patrons. Apologies, I don't actually have the list right in front of me, as I am literally just recording this live. But guys, honestly, my Morgasts, my Vampires, and my Necromancers, you all do a fantastic job. Thank you for your continued support, and it really means the world to me. And what I'd like to say, if you would like to become a patron and are the reasons why I can keep these videos up and keep this channel going, is because of my patrons. If you would like to keep Age of Nagash going, please consider going over to my Patreon page. You'll find a link to it at the top of the description down below. If you just click that link, go to my page, and then you'll just see that even if you just give $1 a month, it massively goes towards keeping up the channel. So if you can do that, guys, that would be fantastic, and I'll be really, really thankful. But if you can't, just like I say, smash that like, smash subscribe, and comment down below, and make sure you press that bell button. All help out the channel. Absolutely free to do so. So guys, with that, I am going to end this video, and like I say, this was the last part of the How to Play series, so let me know if you enjoyed it as well, as it's something very different I've done on the channel, especially when this one goes up. It might seem like a bit different to the content I've been making recently, so let me know, guys. But with that, all I'm going to say is remember to stay safe, wear a mask, wash your hands, and for God's sake, stay hygienic. So that means that you guys don't forget everything I've been trying to teach you in these How to Play videos by the time we can actually start gaming again. But more importantly than all of that, remember that Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.